Senator Ted Cruz has come up with an interesting idea. The practicality of it obviously is being questioned. But I want to share with you this tweet. He's proposing El Chapo and other drug lords pay for the wall. He writes this: America's justice system prevailed today in convicting Joaquin Guzman, a.k.a. El Chapo, on all 10 counts. U.S. prosecutors are seeking $14 billion in drug profits and other assets from El Chapo, which should go towards funding our wall to #secure the border. What do you think of that concept, Senator Kennedy? And by the way, this is his last tweet on the subject. It's time to pass my El Chapo Act. He's actually introducing this. I urge my Senate colleagues to take swift action on this crucial legislation. Is that something that you would support or consider?
Sure. I mean, if we can get money out of El Chapo, I'm all for it. He's not going to need it where he's going. He's going to be able to buy stuff at a prison commissary, and that's about it. But yeah, if we can find his assets, I think we ought to seize them. Ted's right. I'll vote for that.
Interesting. $14 billion could go a long way.
Well, I think it might. I don't think it's $14 billion cash sitting in his checking account. It may be hard to find the assets, but that's something we ought to do anyway, whether we spend it on the wall or not. But sure.
All right.
I'd vote for the bill.
Senator Kennedy, we love having you on the program. Please come back soon. Good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandra.
Well, Mr. Hernandez seems to have an unexpected ally in many congressional Republicans who have avoided funding the border wall President Trump proposed. One man trying to fix the impasse is Senator Ted Cruz of Texas. He just introduced the Ensuring Lawful Collection of Hidden Assets to Provide Order Act, El Chapo for short, named in honor of the infamous Mexican drug lord. The bill would use any assets seized from drug lords to finance the construction of the border wall. Senator Cruz joins us now. Senator, good to see you.
Tucker, good to see you. Congratulations on the new show, by the way.
Well, thank you. The obvious question is, why are you, one of the president's bitterest political enemies during the primaries, taking the lead in helping to fulfill one of his basic campaign promises? Why has it fallen to you? Where's everybody else?
Well, listen, that was then. This is.
I know, but
we had a vigorous primary, but right now we've got an historic opportunity. We have a Republican president. We have Republican heads of every agency.
Right.
We have Republican majorities in both Congress. I am spending every waking moment, night and day, working to help lead the fight to let's deliver on our promises. Let's do what we said.
But why is no one else doing that?
Well, I hope we see more Republicans stepping forward to do it. When it comes to the border wall, this is a common sense issue. I represent Texas. We've got 1,200 miles of border with Mexico. And we have got to secure the border. We have promised the American people, if you elect us, we will do that. And I think we need to honor that promise.
I just, again, for the third time, because I'm marveling at this, you would think that more in your position in the Senate would have the same attitude, but they don't. They're against the border walls. You know, many of your colleagues, the Republicans, are against it. Why do you think they're against it?
Well, you know, as you know, the Democrats right now are threatening to shut down the government to try to stop the border funding. And I think that just shows how radical they are. And I hope and believe this new administration will follow the promise and build the border wall. What I tried to do with this legislation I introduced yesterday was provide a funding stream. And El Chapo, as you know, notorious drug lord, leader of the Sinaloa drug cartel, is in U.S. custody. He's being prosecuted, and the federal government has initiated civil forfeiture actions. His fortune is estimated at $14 billion. Now, it so happens, coincidentally, that the estimated cost of the wall is between $14 and $20 billion. So the legislation I filed yesterday was very simple. It said any proceeds that are forfeited from El Chapo and from other drug lords shall be spent building the wall and securing the border. And I got to say, Tucker, that there's a justice to that, in that these drug cartels are the ones crossing the border with impunity, smuggling drugs, smuggling narcotics, engaged in human trafficking. They're the ones violating our laws, and it's only fitting that their ill-gotten gains fund securing the border.
The cost of a border wall is relatively low compared to a lot of other government programs. So when you hear its opponents on both sides cite cost as a reason to oppose it, what's your reaction?
Listen, that's a fig leaf. That's not the reason they oppose it. The opponents of the border wall oppose it from the Democratic side because they support illegal immigration.
Yeah.
It is very simple. You know, back in January, I was down in McAllen on the Texas border, and I joined the midnight muster before the midnight Border Patrol went out. And I got to say, I visited with about 150 Border Patrol agents. The relief these men and women had at the election results. It was palpable. They were so frustrated at having spent 8 years in an administration where their political superiors, imagine you're out there risking your life, apprehending violent cartels, traffickers. You bring them in and your political superiors process them through, release them, and the next day you're out catching the same guys all over again. They were frustrated out of their minds. Imagine how demoralizing that is.
It would drive you insane.
And what's astonishing is in the first couple of months of this new administration, illegal immigration has already dropped more than 50%. Now, Tucker, if back in the fall and if in August or September, October, we were to say elect a Republican who will enforce the law and illegal immigration will drop 50% before we build a mile of wall, before we hire another Border Patrol agent, the mainstream media would have ridiculed that claim, would have said that is loony.
Yeah.
And I asked the agents, I said, what's
happened.
changed? And they said the only thing that's changed is the cartels understand now we have an administration that will enforce the law. That matters.
It's totally true. Really quick, last question. I can't resist. The name is brilliant and hilarious. You actually came up with an acronym that spells El Chapo. Who thought of that?
It's a fellow on my staff. Sean is his name. He's smart. He's talented. And I already told him, I said it was brilliant. And I didn't come up with it. But when I saw it, I laughed out loud and said, we're going with that. That's fabulous.
All right. If Sean ever wants a job in TV, have him call me. Thanks, Senator. Great to see you. Up next, Bill Nye.
By the way, Senator Ted Cruz suggests using El Chapo's money to finance the wall. There's, what, $14 billion out there. They're looking for it, and Senator Cruz says, use it when you find it, use it to build the wall. Congressman Roger Williams, Republican from Texas, with us now. All right, Congressman, what do you make of Senator Cruz's funding idea?
Well, I think it's a good idea. I mean, if we can get $14 billion or whatever to build the wall, we can certainly say Mexico then built the wall, right?
Well, if you only got $3 or $4 billion, I mean, that would be enough to make it up to $5 billion that the president wants.
No question about it. And if it's there and we can get it, I'd totally support that.
How do you feel about the actual compromise deal as it's been presented, which reportedly the president will sign?
Well, a lot of us hadn't seen it yet. We've heard about it and so forth, and I want to read and see what's in it. I think the big thing for me is I want to make sure what I vote for, and when I vote for it, that I'm voting for border security and not to open the government. I think there's two separate things there. So I want to see what's in it. I want it to work. Nobody wants a government shutdown. We've seen President Trump take Speaker Pelosi from $1 for a wall now to $1.3 billion, almost $1.4 billion. So let's take a look at it and let's see what's best for this country and border security.
Would I be right in saying that as it's been presented so far, $1.3 billion for the wall, building the wall, as it's been presented, President Trump's base, his supporters, conservatives, don't like it?
Well, I don't think they like it in the fact that he was asking for a much larger figure, but I also think and know that the base realizes he has dealt in good faith. He's tried to make a deal and so forth. So I think the base is going to be fine what we come up with. But like I say, the big deal for me is this voting for border security or is this voting to open up the government?
So are you leaning towards saying yes?
Well, it's hard to say. I haven't really seen it all right now. I want to make something happen. Like I say, nobody wants a government shutdown. I'll take a look at it today, make my mind up, and vote accordingly.
Well, if the president says, yeah, I'm going to sign it, would you jump on board at that point?
Well, I support the president. I support what he's been doing, and that would have that would weigh large in my decision, certainly.
Congressman, look, thanks very much for joining us on this issue. I know it's right up to the wire here, but we appreciate you being here, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stuart. Appreciate it.
The president saying moments ago he will look for quote-unquote landmines and a government funding bill. Although he also said he does not want to close the government for the second time this winter. The president telling reporters before a meeting with Colombia's president that he would decide whether to sign the government funding legislation when he sees it. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy joins me now, and that is my number one question. It's being written. Do we know when it will be ready, when it's done?
It should be ready a little later today. Now, we're not in the majority anymore. Appropriations that have worked this negotiation, I'm in the same position as the president. I am waiting to see what the language says. But the structure itself, Harris, you've got to think about this. Just a few weeks ago, Nancy Pelosi said only $1 for the wall. The president is getting 55 new miles of wall and barrier inside this bill. They tried to lower the number of beds, and what that really means to your viewers is what they were trying to do is get us to release into society the criminals that we're catching that coming across illegal across the border. And then they were trying to eliminate ICE. ICE actually has more money in this. So I view this as a down payment, but the president still has more tools in his toolbox. He can go and grab more money, finish the wall, but the most important thing here is the wall is being built.
And the president has said in the Oval Office in the last day or so that this moves him in the right direction, even though he really doesn't like this deal very much. Talk to me now about the process of getting the money to build even more wall. Senator Chuck Schumer says, yeah, the president's really limited in his ability to do this. What do you say?
He's not. Everybody knows the president has the legal authority to declare an emergency of what's happening along the border. He can grab other money that's out there and use that to build the wall to finish off from the $1.4 billion that's inside this bill. And so we have 55 miles. The president wanted to go a full 200. That's where I was, wanting to get more than $5 billion for the barrier. But he could grab other entities that have money and finish that as we go. And what we've really been doing is listening to the experts. And that's why I want to read the bill, because we want to make sure we're building in the top 3 places that the experts say you need these barriers to be in.
What does everybody get? Because isn't that the whole point of a deal that actually works, is that people have skin in the game and Democrats get something, GOP gets something?
Well, the Democrats don't want to give the president a victory. From Nancy Pelosi's view, I mean, she said walls are immoral, but the president is getting a victory there. They tried to eliminate the beds. We have the same cap that we had before, so maybe they can't expand too far, but we have the ability to do that. I think what it really is not providing the $5 billion, just 1/10 of 1% of the whole budget. I think that's the only thing that they think they're trying to hold the president back. But what's unique in this situation, this bill is a down payment. The president still has other avenues that he can use to get the rest of the money and finish it, because this president will not give up. We'll make sure this border is secure.
Back to the border wall deal. Conservatives, they are not happy with it. They don't want the president to sign it. Roll tape.
Well, I'm disappointed in Congress. Once again, we've failed to do what we promised the American people we would do, is appropriate an amount of money to secure our southern border. We've kicked the can down the road.
Apart from the money to build the wall, are you happy with the funding of ICE and the detention beds?
No.
Okay. What's wrong with it?
I want to see the language. Look, I've dealt with appropriators for the last 10 years when I was in headquarters here in D.C., and they're good at playing games.
Yeah, good at playing games. All right, joining us now, Herman Cain. He's with the pro-Trump America Fighting Back PAC. Herman, the president reportedly will sign it. You okay with that?
I don't know whether I'm okay with it, but the way Washington works, you don't always get everything that you want. What a lot of people need to realize, Stuart, is that it's more complicated than sign it or not sign it. There are probably some other discussions that are going on. There are probably some things that we don't know about. So if the president decides to sign it, he probably has some other reasons, such as there could be other pockets where he could pull money from in order to finish the wall.
I think you're exactly right, Herman. I think if he signs it, he signs it, okay, but he gets the money he needs from elsewhere, maybe using executive authority. I think you're right. I think that's how it's going to work out, but I can't confirm that at this point.
Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.